We're on air. Well, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone here to the Mount Isa City Council's community consultation for the draft budget. Before we get going, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we meet, the Kalkadoons, and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge the Deputy Mayor, who is sitting on my far right. I also have David Keenan, who's the CEO of Mount Isa City Council, sitting on my right. I also have Stephen Richardson from Mount Isa City Council, and in honour, also from Mount Isa City Council, and in the background I have Bernard Smith and Renee Wallace. So welcome, and we only have one community member, but very welcome community member. So today is about Mount Isa City Council has released its draft budget, and we have put it out online on the Mount Isa City Council webpage, and we are hoping to get community feedback from the community, and there'll be several ways you can do that. You can either go on to our survey, which is on our Mount Isa City Council webpage, or you can actually make a comment on our Facebook page underneath this presentation. You can also ring us, email us. In fact, we'll accept any form of feedback, the best way you can do it. So thank you. We also have one more planned community consultation, which is on Tuesday, May the 11th at 5:30, the same time in the chambers. I've got Tuesday on there. Oh, they've changed it, so it's now Thursday. What date was it? 13th. All right, so we've changed it now to Thursday the 13th. So we'll get that up on our website. Before we go on to take you through the draft budget, and just remember that this is a draft budget, and this is the reason we're having community consultation, because we definitely want the feedback. But just keep in mind that projects that we're ongoing at the moment are the smart meters. We are kicking off with the $5 million upgrade for the family precinct, which is going to cover the family fun park, splashes, and also the skate park. We're also spending $850,000 on Gallipoli, and that will be a pump track on that one with a few more upgrades. Where we have a $6 million MRF, which is a materials recovery facility, and we will be doing community engagement with that, and that will be happening in May and June. Don't forget, we've also got the cycle and walking path networks that we're continuing on with, which is very exciting. And we're also continuing on with master plans for Outback at Isa. Sorry, our only person from the community has his phone on. So we've got ongoing is a master plan for Outback at Isa, the library and the Civic Centre. Now, if you do get online and on the webpage, you'll be able to click on all the documents, including the presentation that we're putting on today. And I know there'll be some of you out there looking for the motorsports complex, and you will find it under sporting upgrades. But keep in mind that if when this goes ahead, we will be looking for funding to back this. So what I'll do now is I'll hand you over to Stephen Richardson and Ian Honor, and they're going to take you through the budget. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Mia. The main points about this, the budget for June 22, the council controlled revenue is budgeted to increase by 3.75%. This follows the previous year of a nil overall increase. It's important to stress that this is an overall increase, and individual categories will vary. The assumption is that costs will go up by 2.5% per annum, following on from the previous year. We have full-time equivalent staff numbers budgeted at 209 for this year, compared to 207 in the previous year. I'd just like to point out before I get queries from the public is that the annual report has full-time equivalent actually employed at the end of the year, and that was 186 at June 2020, and that reflects the vacancy rate which varies throughout the year at this council. It's largely covered by agency staff. There is no effective increase in overall staff numbers. The staff here are doing more to meet community, state and Commonwealth requirements, with additional legislation and queries and dealing with the effects of COVID. And we're largely doing that through the deployment of technology and the response of the staff from council. Our overall capital budget for June 22 is 31.7 million. And there's a large number of projects from the current year that will run into this forecast year of June 22. Major items, there's a causeway at Lake Julius, 2.3 million. There's other roading, part of our ongoing maintenance and sealing program, 4.2 million. Out of the MRF expenditure, that will run over 2 years. We expect to spend about 4 million this year. The smart water meters will be a further 3. There's other water and sewer capex totaling 4 million, largely reflecting carryover work. We have, the Mayor's obviously already talked about Gallipoli Park and other park facilities. That's a total of 6 million. We have Buchanan Park, another 1.2, and community facilities, another 1 million. Council is spending 2 million on replacing its fleet and another 2 million on building and other facilities within council. The slides cover some of the major operating entities within within council. I won't go over them in a great detail, but if you look on slide 3 on the online presentation, you'll see a comparison with over 4 years, given 2 actuals, the current year, and what we expect in June 22. We are required to, by legislation, to give a 10-year forecast, which is included in the pack released out for public consultation. And we've made some estimates on what the program will be for years 6 to 10. Obviously, years 1 to 5, we're a bit more detailed on that, and that's why the numbers vary in the first 5 years and are consistent from year 6 onwards. And we would expect to revise this forecast on an annual basis. With that, I will pass over to my colleague who's going to talk about some of the fees and charges for individual items.
Thanks, Stephen. This year, Council has held its general waste disposal fee for people taking their rubbish to the tip. For a car, van or utility, the fee is remaining at $5. And actually, if you're taking it a trailer, a single axle trailer, we've actually reduced it from $14 back to $12. It's the aquatic centre. The entry fees have increased a mere 50 cents for residents. So adults 16 years or over will now pay $4.50. A new fee that's been introduced is for non-residents. So for adults, that'll be $5.50. Resident children aged 3 to 15, again, it's only increased 50 cents, making their entry fee $4, and non-resident children $4.50. Resident pensioners, but with a concession card, their charge has gone up 50 cents to $3. Non-resident pensioners, $3.50. A 10-session pass is 10 times the prices that I've just listed, except you get the bonus of an extra entry with that pass. On our animal registration fees this year, we've introduced a new category, and that's a 3-year registration for your animal for the price of 2. So a desexed microchipped dog, male or female, a 1-year registration has gone up $5 to $35. However, taking advantage of the 3-year registration, you pay $70. For the cat registrations, the prices for a desexed microchipped animal, it goes up from $25 to $26, with the three-year registration fee going up to coming in at $52. Most other fees have been stabilised at that 3.75% increase, but it's not always easy to do that and come up with a number. So most fees have been rounded either to the nearest 50 cents or $1. Thank you.
Just making sure this works, before I put this out to questions, Deputy Mayor, would you like to give any feedback?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thanks, Madam Mayor. So we've been, from a council perspective, we've been working on the budget since January for the 12-month period starting July 1. We're building a responsible budget. It's in response to the COVID year that we had, and I think the the level of increase is good compared to to try and even out the patch of 0 increases from last year. So council is in a good, healthy financial position, and we certainly want to maintain that. But also at the same time, we're keeping an eye on the costs for ratepayers. So I'm pretty happy with the budget so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now, do I have any questions from the floor?
I don't know if to bring it up now. It's about the CV cameras in town. Should I talk about that, or for a minute? They got their windows smashed. They're going to replace their windows with something else, so it doesn't happen again. But insurance won't cover it, so the owner is just out of pocket all the time. The council, security council cameras don't cover that area. And I don't know, Chamber did write a letter to the council about having them monitored at a cost of wages. But even if they catch these, like the sports centre, they've got their own cameras which filmed it all, so they know who did it. But the magistrates won't do anything about them. They just say, well, I don't want to see you again, and then tomorrow they're there again. And they just keep saying, well, I don't want to see you today, and I don't want to see you tomorrow. So 2 days later, they're back again. So it's just a continuous circle. So it doesn't matter how much the council was thinking of it, extending the range of their cameras, put more cameras in. But it's a discipline that's, if there was discipline for the children who were doing it, it wouldn't be a problem. So I feel a committee should be going to discussion about this, because it's just going around. The police catch them, they take them to court. The magistrate says, "Oh, I don't want you. You're underage. We don't really want to know you." So go home to no. And it just keeps going on. The parents would all be the same if we had some of the parents that these children have got. And be playing with government a little bit for giving them grants. But anyway, it should be investigated, the CV problem. And the children committing offences and repeat offences all the time.
Well, thanks for your question, Peter. And we have had a meeting with the Commonwealth Northwest, and we've also had a meeting with the Calcadoons, the police, housing, health, that's it. So we are trying to get all the key stakeholders to the table on the subject. It's not going to be an issue we're going to fix overnight, but it is a priority for council to be involved. So I've also talked to Rob Catter, who is hoping to organise a community, community information session where we can get together as a community. So I can check if that's ongoing for you. But just getting us back to the budget, have you got any questions on the budget or anything that...
Well, it was mentioned, I think, an enormous amount of millions going to be spent on the swimming pool. Is that correct?
So we've got 5.1 million, and it's going to be spent on the family precinct. So that's going to be a complete upgrade of the family fun park, which is really desperately needed. It's also going to be the skate park, and there'll be a lot more shade put in there, and also splashes, which is the town pool. So we're going to put in a lot more shade. We're also going to put in solar, and we pay about $180,000 a year just on warming the pool. So if we can reduce that spend, that's going to be a great outcome.
Yeah, but I believe the letter was sent to the council about the water wasting, water loss. I'm wondering whether the pipe system has ever been put under test to see if some of the pipes underground are broken.
We actually had contractors out in Mount Isa at the end of last year in conducting an investigation into some of this lost water. So it is ongoing, but we are looking at where we are losing water, and we have made a commitment as a council that we are going to spend the rest of this term fixing the infrastructure. That's going to be a priority for us.
That's excellent. But you mentioned someone came from Townsville to look into it. Well, what was the report from that?
I'm not sure where the company come from, but we got a specialist in to actually, and they've got all the equipment where they can hear the sound of water and leaks, and so it's still ongoing. What we're hoping is when we get the smart meters in, which we're hoping to have them all in by January 2022. This might answer a lot of questions for us. So, but in the meantime, we're still ongoing with it.
Of course, they say there's over 10,000 litres of water wasted each month, which is costing the cost of heating water is much more because there's such a leakage.
I think we're losing about 36% of our water, and as a council can usually lose about 15%. So we are concerned, but we are definitely, it is a priority that we are searching into it. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to mention that this draft budget will be on our Facebook webpage, and we will be collecting comments and feedback until Friday, May 14th, so just the day after our last community consultation. I guess the one thing to note is last year, Mount Isa City Council did not put the rates up at all. When we got in April, we were just commencing the budget, and we had COVID. So one of the things Mount Isa City Council did was not put the rates up. So in this draft budget, we are recommending that the rates go up 3.75%, which is, you've got to remember that it's pretty much over 2 years, because as we didn't have a rate rise last year, and so this rate rise will be, averaged out less than the CPI or CCI, so it'd be less than 2% for both years if you wanted to average it out like that. But it's definitely something I recommend ratepayers get online and have a look at this draft budget. It's a great opportunity for you to give feedback before it actually goes to a vote with the councillors. What else did I put? I think that's it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, can we just confirm that there are no proposed borrowings this year, so there will be no increase to the level of debt the council has at the moment.
That's right.
So that's quite important.
Yep.
Please also, those looking through the PowerPoint presentation will find a comparison between Mount Isa City Council and a number of other local government authorities, which will benchmark those. And I might just for a moment hand over to the acting manager just to give an indication of what categories are compared between the different local government authorities.
Yes, thank you for that. The comparisons between the local authorities are at the end of the 35-page presentation on the council website. So if you go to slide 25, you'll see the comparative rate increases for 6 councils. We have got these councils roughly the same size, roughly the same area as best we can. One of them isn't remote, but we've factored in the remoteness and the costs of operating. So you'll see that all these other councils increased at a much higher rate for the year to June 21. You've also got the rates per capita. Now that's rates per head, not rates per property. Again, Mount Isa is quite low. In fact, it's the lowest apart from the council on the coast. If you go over, you'll see the grants reliance ratio, and that's the proportion of revenue where we get from state and Commonwealth. Again, we're not too bad. We're at around 17% of revenue. The water revenue per capita is slide 29. That's the one that's probably of most interest at the moment to residents of Mount Isa. We're paying around $735 per capita compared to the other councils. And we do have also the debt per capita, and that is a bit misleading in that our debt, we actually have net cash on hand, which I'll address, as do most of these other councils. In fact, all of these councils, apart from one, have net cash on hand. There's a difficulty with any council in trying to forecast that the revenue that they get from state and Commonwealth, and that is that's one of the major factors that leads to net cash on hand, focusing on when the money is actually received and having to pay for the capex in many instances before you get reimbursed from state or Commonwealth. Just one of the common questions that council has asked is, why do we have cash on hand in excess of 50 million and we have interest-bearing debt of just over 20 million? That's one of the major reasons behind that. It started to build up about 7 or 8 years ago. The council keeps a watching brief on how interest rates are moving. At the moment, the penalty for early repayment is in the region of 8 million, so when the council is not contemplating that, and that's largely, it's abnormally high because of the effects of the COVID on interest rates. Interest rates are at 0.5 is what the council's earning on its cash on hand. So we are keeping a watching eye on that. You want me to, I've got some other common questions. Do you want me to rabbit on?
Those common questions would be good.
I've been asked how many FIFO employees council has. We don't have any. We do have contract employees from time to time where council may pay their travelling up at the start of the contract, typically 3, 6, 12 months, and travelling back at the end. But there are no FIFO employees at council. Been asked what's happening with the municipal recycling facility. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but we have a consultation process running from 25th of May to the 2nd of June. Construction will commence, as we've said, in this current financial year and will run over to June 23. Been asked what is happening with our water charges, and at the moment the smart meters will be completed around December to January. Council will be testing and reviewing, making sure that data is accurate, and starting a consultation process at some stage during probably around June 22. So that won't take effect until the June 23 financial year. And as has been said, one of the key questions that I've been asked consistently is, will my rates go up and by how much? There are 68 individual categories within the rating base at Mount Isa City Council. The increase will be 3.75% for this forthcoming financial year. Now, it won't be a consistent 3.75 across all 68 individual categories. There is a review being done. Council have requested that attention be given to the potential of getting a higher rate increase on some of the higher value properties and to achieve a bit more social equity in the overall rate increase. Thank you.
All right, so we're coming close to a conclusion now. I just want to check in. Did you have anything that you felt got left out?
No.
No? Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. No, just looking forward to comments from the community, see if there's anything that we may not have covered off on, but I believe we've drilled right into it. Thanks.
Thank you. David?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just as people make submissions, keep in mind they may make a submission in relation to a capital works project, and it may be for the forthcoming year, or the way we are now doing the budgets pushes out to a 3 to 4 year period. So it might be something that can be considered, not necessarily in this draft budget, but a future draft budget as well. And I will say that council officers will continue to source funding from a state or federal level wherever possible to make sure that we can get the biggest bang for our buck out of our capital works funding as well.
Thank you. Well, I'd just like to thank everyone who's taken the time to watch our presentation today. We sincerely do want your feedback, and as I mentioned at the beginning, we will take it. You can either go onto our survey on our website, or you can email us, ring us, or feel free to actually put a comment on our Facebook page underneath this streaming. And we will sincerely try to get back and answer all questions or take on the feedback. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing all the feedback from the community.